I have a good feeling where everyone's standing regarding Karen Reed, but I have a bigger question now. Do you believe that there was a conspiracy against Karen Reed? Let's go.
So, Adrian, in most cases, I would say absolutely not, because how many people have we heard of who are saying, oh, I didn't do it. It's a conspiracy. They're framing me. And I'm usually like, sure they are. In this case, I actually believe it. I do not think that these individuals anticipated how much press coverage this case would get and that it would become this huge national sensation. I think that's what they didn't bet on. I think they thought they could frame her, keep it, within local news and get away with it.
Absolutely. Based on what Angie said, this is no ordinary group of friends. This is not just like, Chandler and Monica and all of those guys. These are people who have know how. They know what to do to kind of put the entire bad light of this thing on you. And I think you're right. They didn't realize how big of a case this was going to turn into. I do agree with that.
I will give them this. Whether John O'Keefe died by accident through the dog or he wound up dying, falling, cracking his head on the floor, we don't know. But I 100% agree that they try to pin it on Karen Reed, whether it's accidental death or not. Their thing is, we're going to frame Reed for it. They weren't anticipating. They thought this was going to be an open and shut case. Let her take the fall. We move on with our life. We make a little pact here that we just gonna keep this shaking and moving, open and shut, boom. But they weren't expecting, number one, the defense team that Karen had, because I don't know if this podcast ever makes it to the ears of Karen Reed's lawyer, you have a fan in me. Like, you are everything. You are the GOAT. They weren't expecting the defense Karen Reed had, number one. And number two, how big this case got and the support that she got. So, yeah, 100% they try to frame her, in my opinion.
If the attorney is listening, we'll make sure that he goes directly to you, Angie, for his thank you.
I love
Calling
him.
him the GOAT. That's awesome. I love
He's the
that.
GOAT.
Debbie,
Yeah, for everybody that stated their reasons and stuff, I agree with each and every one of them. And I too agree that she was framed. And I think that not only didn't they anticipate the defense and the publicity that it was going to get, but I think that they thought that she was just the easiest target and that, like everybody has previously stated, that they would just, close it up with a bow and send her off to prison. They didn't anticipate the powerhouse that she was. They thought they just were going to use her for an easy fall person.
yep, Debbie. It's funny, just the term conspiracy, that like plotting and doing something. When I really think about it, the secret plan by a group of people to do something harmful or unlawful, I have to say that feels very much like a conspiracy. So I agree with each of you that said, yes, a conspiracy. I can't argue for the no conspiracy because this is too much for me. Plus, if Karen Reed is listening, which I know she will, I want her to know I think she's the GOAT too. Anyone else have anything that they want to share regarding if you think it's a conspiracy or not? Because I want to talk about the dog. It feels like that came out of nowhere, right? Like, oh, a dog fairy. Was this a big dog, by the way? Was there any description of the dog?
Yes, it was a big dog. And the dog theory is very interesting. And I wouldn't usually lend any credibility to it, except for the fact that the wounds on John's arm, if it wasn't made by a dog and it wasn't made by that dog, why not just produce the dog? They can compare the dog's teeth to bite marks and easily rule that out. They chose not to do that. They claim the dog has been rehomed when under a different name. No one knows where the dog is. So I think it is possible that their dog attacked John and that had something to do with what happened to him.
I just want to be very careful tonight that we don't describe the dog in detail. So thank you, because we do want the dog to live its life out in the witness protection dog program. When you said that, that was funny. Actually, I don't have an answer to this one. If he could have been attacked by a dog, I can't imagine being attacked by a dog and then your friends are like, you know what? let's just throw him outside and say that he got hit by a car. It's so freaking nuts.
The dog could have been involved for sure somehow. And I believe that they rehomed the dog before they started knocking on that guy's door saying, let's get dental impressions of this dog. And also got rid of the phone at a military base and demolished it before the police started saying, let me see your phone. It's just like too much weird things that they were doing. So, yeah, maybe with dental records, they could have proved that maybe those bites did match what was on John O'Keefe's arm.
How do you just not produce this dog? Is it because you think that they're going to put the dog down, or that just doesn't make any sense? I mean, dog bites are very specific. They're puncture wounds, right? There isn't anything else that looks like a dog bite. And if that's the case, how did he end up outside in the snow? And the phone, to me, all of those things and more point to reasonable doubt, right? I just think there's too much showing that she didn't do it.
I remember hearing something about dog bites or scratches on his body that could have been, like a dog attack, along with, I can't remember the police officer's name, but his son, I think it was the son, he had scratches or marks on his knuckles as if he was in a fight. I remember hearing about those two things during the trial, and that for me was kind of like, okay, like they're saying he's got what looks like dog scratches and dog bites on him. The son had his knuckles all messed up. Something's going on here, and I don't think this woman has anything to do with it.
While I am a supporter of law enforcement, I also have learned in the last 20 years that there is a lot of police officers who are not doing things the way that they should do. And you do have to watch what you say because they may take something as innocent as your grief, your realization that someone you love has been harmed. Oh my God, did I hit him? I don't think I hit him. Did I hit him? And take that and run with it. And I think that this case is kind of indicative of that.
I agree. I want to talk about Trooper Proctor. He called her a C word, joked about looking up nude photos in her phone, and mocked her Crohn's disease. And I want to say something about this. You know what? Since we're talking directly, Mr. Proctor, I want to address you specifically. That what you did to me, that was deeply unprofessional. It was harmful. But the funny thing is it damaged your own reputation. You eroded the public trust in yourself and other officers who serve honorably every day. And so I struggle to understand how the level of bias could emerge in such a serious case. And I'm glad you faced those significant consequences, including your firing. And I hope, Mr. Proctor, that you had time to reflect on how those words affected so many beyond just one investigation. And you know what I believe? I believe accountability matters. And I believe owning that fully can help begin to repair some of the damage that you did because you hurt the faith in our system. Thank you, everyone, for letting me talk to Mr. Proctor directly. Take the mic.
Okay, Adrian. So yeah, he called her a see you next Tuesday, a whack job, joked about looking for nude photos on her phone, expressed wishes that she would kill herself, and made fun of her Crohn's disease condition in very graphic detail. In everyone's opinions, does that, knowing that the lead investigator, while investigating, is sending text messages like that about the person he's investigating, does that discredit the entire investigation because he did that?
Yes, that's very unprofessional. And what else is unprofessional is John O'Keefe's so-called friends, one of his so-called friends, who was a witness against Karen Reed, was texting her inappropriately to sleep with her. So if you were really John's friend, you wouldn't be trying to sleep with his girlfriend. Then the lead detective texting, obscenities about Karen Reed and mocking her and different things. This whole thing is very unethical and disgusting.
I agree that it's unprofessional, definitely, and there's no excuse for speaking about someone like this, so I'm not defending it. I am going to take the position, though, that you can hate the person you're investigating And that doesn't necessarily throw the whole investigation out the window.
Who was he texting though? Was he texting one of the friend group people or was he texting a coworker? Who was he texting that to?
I believe he was texting a coworker.
At the same coworkers that work with the DEA agent and the police
Yeah,
officers, they all know each other. They're
yeah.
all peers, right? Yeah. Mm-mm.
I think it would have said something if he had really, really disliked her, but still efficiently and thoroughly done the job of investigating the crime, which includes investigating her as a suspect, but also includes looking for other possible options. And it just goes to show, when they say, if something happens and you have to go to a police station, don't say anything without a lawyer. Keep your mouth shut because they want to close the case. And I think they thought they were going to close this case really quickly. And bada bing, bada boom, it was going to be done.
Overall, I don't think he led an objective investigation, but the text messages was a big thing they brought up in trial. And I don't think those text messages alone show that the entire investigation should be thrown out. But yeah, it was definitely unprofessional for sure.
So the whole tail lights, it's interesting. Can you share again, what were they saying about the red fragments, right? They didn't see them, and then the next day when they were kind of clearing out the snow, they saw them. What was that about?
So those taillight fragments were not found immediately. Granted, like you said, it was a snowstorm. So yes, evidence can be covered by the snow. Those taillight fragments didn't show up until after Karen Reed's vehicle was in possession of the police and after investigators had been alone at the scene, basically with an opportunity to plant those. The defense and Karen say that her broken taillight was the result of her backing into John's car later when she got home. She says she dropped John off, went back to his house, and when she was backing out to go back and look for him, she hit his vehicle. And it's on video camera footage. You can see it's that corner of her car. If you zoom in, there's an impact where his vehicle moves. So there was a contact with the vehicles. She claims her taillight got broke there. There's no reason why these taillight shards should be at Fairview Road. The police are saying, no, those taillight shards are from when you hit John O'Keefe. What do you guys think?
If I remember correctly, where the car was taken to, didn't one of the police officers' brothers or something work there? Or it was something like that. And they actually showed in the video where he was standing by that side of the car for a little while. So I definitely think it was planted.
If there's video evidence that she did bump his car, it's easy enough to figure out, right? From the damage on the car, forensically, it's possible it was planted, or maybe it was from something else. Because as Adrian shared earlier, with snow, sometimes you can get so much snow in a place, well, things don't show up until, May. Underneath is when everything melts, right? And you have no idea where it's from. So
But even with the fragments that were found, it's just saying that she backed into his SUV, not him. So that explains the initial damage. But to me, it doesn't have anything to do with whether she actually hit John O'Keefe.
Yeah, but John O'Keefe's car was at a completely different property. That's the whole thing. Where she hit his car and where the damage occurred was at a completely different property, but somehow it mysteriously appeared at that scene.
it just sounds like grasping at straws to me. Even the most seasoned insider can panic. I think that they panicked in the midst of trying to create this whole narrative that she did it.
Yeah. In the second trial, the defense brought two very seasoned accident reconstructionists to take the stand, and they said that the injuries on John O'Keefe's arm were absolutely not consistent with that broken taillight for a number of different reasons. They were like, there's no way that that is what caused his injuries.
And let's be honest, Michael Proctor, who we know now is not a reputable man, I would absolutely question his integrity and how he handled this evidence.
Here's my thing too. We know when the glass breaks, if she hit him with that car and the tail light was busted in that way, and those were injuries from the tail light, I would think that there would still be some kind of shards of glass stuck into him, not just scattered on the ground. So that's my other thing of why I definitely think it was planted.
It's a plastic, not glass, just to be clear. Red and clear plastic.
Right, but if she hit him that hard, though, I would think that there would be pieces on him in those cuts. There was nothing.
Right. To shatter the light and there's nothing on him? Like, if you shattered the tail light, there gotta be some on you.
Now, there was a little glass at the scene, but that matched the broken cocktail glass that was near O'Keefe's body. That's weird too. What did he do? Take the drink from the bar, or he just happens to have cocktail glasses in his car? Like that to me, I was always like, wait, did he get that glass from inside?
Yeah, he did,
Hmm.
Adrian. Yeah, he walked out with the drink and brought it into the car.
It was getting crunk that night.
Exactly.
I do have to admit, there have been times when I have done that when I was not the driver. So just saying, completely plausible. Oops, did I just out myself on a live podcast?
No, you're good, Jay, as long as you're not the driver. Yeah, so I think that that taillight evidence, like, again, normally when people allege a conspiracy, I roll my eyes and I don't take that seriously. This is one of those few cases where I'm like, yeah, the taillight thing doesn't make any sense. There's a perfectly logical explanation on video for why her taillight was broken. You have the dog that is still missing. No one really knows where the dog is. And actually, in the second trial, they presented evidence that they swabbed John O'Keefe's wounds and tried to test it for dog DNA. Now, while they did not find any dog DNA, they did find pork DNA. And pork is an ingredient used in a lot of dog treats. So it is possible that you can say if the dog attacked him and had eaten a dog treat, that would explain why there's pork DNA in his wounds. Now, we don't know for sure, but I just think that combined with a lot of the other stuff people brought up, Amanda brought up the son had these wounds on his knuckles as if he'd been in a fight, yet he claimed that he slipped on ice on the driveway, which is sounds like a ridiculous excuse for injuries on your knuckles. You have these phone calls going on back and forth between witnesses, yet they're claiming a lot of them were butt dials. Like, these are not just, oh, this person was called and they didn't pick up the phone. This is the phone rings, someone answers it, there's a conversation, they hang up. A series of these phone calls, yet some of them are sitting in court saying, oh, yeah, that was an accidental dial. We didn't have a conversation.
Didn't somebody say that one of these friends was texting her, trying to sleep with her at some point? People have been set up for less, right? Like being jilted or not acquiescing to having an affair with someone's friend, supposedly.
Yeah. So the thing is, she was dating John. They weren't engaged or anything. And John's friend basically texted her that, he thought she was pretty and he was feeling her. And they were having like flirtatious conversations. And in court, basically, he had to read his messages out loud, the things that he was telling her. But she, as far as I know, she didn't cheat on John with the guy.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I didn't think that she cheated, but I did think if a man tries to proposition a woman and that woman says no, I'm just saying that could have been motive for him trying to set her up. Because people are petty. And they've certainly, done nasty things for less.
Yeah, there were flirtatious text messages between Karen Reed and Brian Higgins, the ATF agent. So yeah, I mean, that further complicates the situation and the dynamic. And I think Angie said it best, which is there's clearly a conflict of interest here. There should have been an outside probe that's objective, that should have come in and taken the lead on investigating this for sure.
Because if you ask their friend, oh, lead investigator, so and so, go swab the arm of John O'Keefe to see if your other friend's dog is the one that did it. They might swab something else when they're supposed to swab his arm. They're too commingled. This was a friend group of law enforcement with their plus ones. The same law enforcement task force should not be lead investigating their peers because there's a lot of bias that comes with that. I said what I gotta say. Thank you guys for having me. Shout out to you, Karen Reed. I hope you listen to this episode. Shout out to your lawyer. You are the GOAT. Karen Reed, congratulations.
Absolutely. What a great conversation. Well, that's a wrap on this Debate the News True Crime episode. No matter what you believe, the human cost here is brutal. John O'Keefe is gone. Two kids lost their guardian, and an entire community became a battlefield. Two trials didn't unify anyone, they hardened people into camps. And now the story continues in civil court, in disciplinary boards, and in the question that still hangs in the air: how does a case this big end with so little agreement on what's true? Thank you to all our listeners for joining us tonight. If you found this episode engaging and informative, please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your support helps us keep these conversations going. We invite you to come into Chatter Social Live and join us for the conversation. We'll be back every Thursday with more gripping cases, debates, and discussions to dive into. Until then, stay safe, stay vigilant. Definitely don't kill anyone. Don't drink and drive. Good night, everyone.